välkomna till Förenade Inköps webbinarie om producentkooperativ idag. Och för att göra det här enkelt och bekvämt för alla närvarande så tar vi det på engelska helt enkelt. So I switch into English and I welcome Molly Rygg from Slättåkra. And it's a place in the countryside that I actually visited you last year. It seems time flies, but it was really inspiring both to visit the farms and to visit the shop you had. And since Förenade Inköp, the project is mostly into like the buyer part of it, like the food co-ops who's for buyers, but we are very interested also in other forms of how can we do cooperatives around food, and the producer part is really interesting. So we managed to get you here and get your time. So just to start with, it's if you could describe where are you? Where are you now, and where is this Slättåkra?
Yes, Slättåkra is about 20 minutes drive from Homestead, the city of Homestead. So it's actually very good location because a lot of small towns around here, but it's not that rural, I would say.
Not so rural.
Yeah, there's a lot of I mean, we're halfway between Göteborg and Malmö, but also there's a fairly large population in the small towns around us. So
but for what I remember, it looked very rural.
Yeah,
it's like this
rural,
gravel roads and
yeah. I mean, it feels rural, but yeah, 20 minutes here in Homestead, which is pretty big town. So
yeah, that's true. But is it a old farming area or how is the?
Yes, all this whole area is old farming area, and there's a lot of grain grown around here, a lot of barley, wheat, rye, and a lot of cows.
Is it? I don't remember if when we went there if I didn't see so many big farms, but around Halmstad, yes, there would be some.
Yeah, around us it's mostly smaller farms.
All right. And for the cooperative, now what is that? What have you started?
Yeah, last year in May, we started economic förening. We started a Gourds Boutique, and we are 4 producers that have the shop together. So we are myself and my husband. We have eggs, vegetables, flowers, and some prepared foods like jam and pickles. And then we have Lya Gård, which is also in Slättåkra, and they have beef, eggs, vegetables. And then we have Hagarnas Mejeri, they have cheese. And then we have Andreas Måttgård, and he has lamb and beef. So my husband and I bought this farm, and last year was our first year farming. And we live on a fairly busy road. We wanted to have a farm shop. We have a barn that was empty. And we had the idea to have this farm shop, and then we realized that this other guy, Jesper Sandström, he had Lya Gård in our same tiny town. It's like 1,000 people. So he had this farm for about 4 years, and he had a small farm shop, but it was off the road. So it wasn't getting outside people. People were coming, but not so many people, just random people driving by wouldn't know about it. And it seemed silly if we were competing with each other in the same small town, as we have the same farming vision. It's like either work together or be in competition with each other. So we decided to work together. And then Jesper's sister has Hagarnas Mejeri, this cheese business. She had it, I think, about 3 years then. And she was thinking of making a farm shop. But she's the only one in her company. So the thought of doing that, I think it was a lot of work for her to do by herself. So we realized we all had the same goals. We all had the same farming philosophy. We all tried to be do regenerative agriculture. So let's work together and bring a lot more customers to the store. Like, so I said we're 20 minutes drive from Homestead. For me, that's not very far. But if you live in Homestead, if you think, why am I going to drive out to Slättåkra just to buy vegetables, maybe they wouldn't. But since we have eggs, vegetables, cheese, meat, and there's more reasons to come.
But how you moved there and you wanted to start farming? So so you haven't lived there for so long time.
No, we lived here for 1 year before starting the farm. So
all right.
We lived here the year before, and then last year we started the farm. Yeah.
Have you heard of some similar things that you got inspired from, or where did you get this idea about cooperating?
Yeah, I've been thinking about farming cooperatives a lot because I think a lot about what the small farmer has to do, and it's a very demanding job. And to be a small farmer, to be successful, you have to, do social media, you have to do sales, you have to do accounting, you have to do the actual production, and there's so many different factors. And when I look in the past, like in history, the way people used to farm, it wasn't tiny farms out on their own. People had communities where they helped each other out, and maybe people had individual farms, but maybe they helped each other with big projects, or they shared equipment. And to me, just to be a small farmer totally out on your own, I think it's very hard. It's very demanding, and you need to live in a community, and you need to run ideas by other people, and you need advice, and you need to share equipment, and just working together. I find it so much more manageable. So yeah, I've heard of models in my native country. I'm from USA. They have a lot. I've seen a lot of farming cooperatives, and in Canada also. And I'm really inspired by that, especially people in rural communities that want to have small farms that bring their product together and sell it to a big city. So like, instead of each person trying to go to the big city and sell it, they form a cooperative. And I think it's really helpful to have co-workers, when you're, the farming is a very solitary thing. And it's really nice. I like our model because we still get our individual farm. So you still get the sense of independence, and I can do whatever I want on my farm. I don't need to ask someone if I can make these decisions, but I still have people that I work with. It's really like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's I know of some of these projects that started in Sweden, but it's a long time ago. I think it's in the end of 80s, really. But I think the farmers at that time, they were still bigger than you are, because your micro farms or very small farms, and these were a little bit bigger, but they still couldn't get into ICA and Konsum and so on, because the costs, they have to sell so much. So then they formed this kind of cooperatives, and they were organic farmers, and that also made it more difficult, I think, to get into the market. But that also, what I know, that went quite big. I think it made it too big for what the intentions were. So it's something about finding the right scale and mean, when you're such a small cooperative as you are, it's a lot about the persons. I mean, who do you like working with, or who, yeah, do you share the same ideas? Like you say that were into regenerative agriculture. That's not much. I mean, we don't hear much about that in Sweden at all. I mean, we talk about it in the project, but otherwise it's not
It's still
discussed
a really
lot.
small thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I read in your description on the website about the importance of community and the region and also food sovereignty. Could you sort of talk a bit about that?
Yeah, well, we really want to build up I mean, we would really like food to come from here. I mean, of course, you're not going to have everything from here, right? We're still going to drink. I mean, I drink coffee. I like chocolate. But the goal is to have as much food as possible come from this area and have the money, the food money, stay in the community. And that also builds community. It makes a more vibrant community. And I think people, yeah, I think your food is healthier, you're more connected to your food. And that's one of the things we try. Working together is really helpful because we try to provide food for as long as possible out of the year. And having 4 producers makes that easier. Like we focus, we're trying to get the vegetable season longer and longer. But having 2 vegetable farmers helps that because you can have a bigger diversity of crops and and try to grow more storage crops. But yeah, we would like people to eat more food from Sweden. And of course, yes, not everything, but more of it. Yeah.
But if we just break it out into parts, you have the store, which is open. It's like a regular store with what opening times is that? What I guess it depends on the time of the year, but
yeah.
Yeah, how is the opening hours?
Right now we're only open on Friday and Saturday at the moment. Yes. I think in the future we do need to be open more, but yeah, as we're all producers, it's kind of hard to balance having the store open and working on your business. So.
Yeah. And the customers going there, I mean, do you have they don't have to be a member of anything. They can just walk in. Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you see you as producers running the store as a vital, as a core thing to what makes you strong, or would you rather another local cooperative, more like a buyers club or a local food cooperative that runs food store, taking care of the actual store, and you being you provide the groceries
Yeah, well, I think part of one of the reasons that the customers come to the store is to interact with the people who made the food.
Yeah.
And I think that's because we have considered, should we hire someone? But I think it's very hard to replace that customer interaction. And like the customers who come to the store are not, I would say the majority of them are not there for a simple interaction like, oh, I need some food and I'm going to buy it. They come to talk, they come to hang out, they come to, it's also a social gathering thing. And like in our little town, there used to be a store. It closed, I think, 2 years ago. So there is no actual store in our town. And just for the, you see people meeting each other. Where else would they meet? I mean, they could run into each other somewhere else, but I think people really like to ask questions about the products and know that the person who's answering the question actually knows all the information about that food. Like, oh, you have peas, how many more weeks are you going to have peas? What is this variety called? What do you compare it to this? Or about the cheese? People, they ask, the people who come to our store seem to be really into food, and they really want to know the information, and they really like that interaction, I think. So it would be hard to have someone else sell the food. Yeah.
And how do you manage the scheduling of who's working? Do you take turns every fourth day sort of?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we take turns. Yeah. So you don't have to work in the store every day. So
yeah, but that must mean a huge difference compared to running the store by yourself, which is quite a few farms do.
Yeah, I mean, and we do we do a little bit of self-service. Every day we have egg self-service, but and some people are fine with that, but I do think people like the interaction. They like to ask questions, and yeah, we have customers who really want to know detailed information. So
yeah, those places, I mean, are so important, especially in the rural parts of Sweden.
Yeah.
When the local shops and the post office and it's closed now. So so be able to have that kind of interaction in a place around food, especially, that's very nice. But then I'm not finished with the shop, but I also want to see the other parts you're doing. It seems like you're also cooperating in selling, maybe to stores in the city or restaurants, or how does that work?
Well, we don't really sell to that many restaurants because that was a project we were planning on starting this spring, but then with coronavirus, it seemed like a bad opportunity to go around to a bunch of restaurants.
Yeah.
So we do sell to a big music festival, and we have right now we're selling to just one restaurant, but we sell at Reco Ring together also.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
And in that when you or the idea of selling to restaurants and so was that you could offer all your products for all your so you do that, the transport and maybe the packaging or whatever, you can do that.
So one restaurant, they get more selection. But that we will focus on that next year. This year it seems like Reco Ring was really a lot more customers than last year. So but yeah, we do think that restaurants it's good to have that extra to sell your surplus to restaurants. And there is a local ICA that asked us if we wanted to sell there, but for this year we hadn't really planned on it, so we didn't have the production, but maybe next year we could do that if we want, although we're not sure about that.
Have you been approached by any of these new startups that want to fill the gap, taking care of the logistics part between the producer and the possibly the wholesaler or the restaurant? There are a few actually nowadays. There's one called Snömoln and another one called Stock Filler that helps restaurants place orders. Helps restaurant place orders from one interface. They can place an order from many producers. Sort of. Have you been approached by any of them?
We haven't, but our cheese producer Linda from Hagarnas Mejeri, I believe she was talking to a few that type of people, but we as vegetables we haven't done that.
No.
Yeah, we would, since we are smaller farms, for us, if we can sell direct to customers, that makes more sense to us. If we can. Since we're not a bigger farms, so far we don't have that much surplus. We can sell everything directly. So if we can do that, we prefer that.
Yeah, that also builds the direct connection with the customers, and as soon as some sort of middleman comes in between, they want to take a cut of the sales, and with the motivation, we help you reach the new customers, more customers, etc. And it's quite easy to see you ending up in a situation where you have to sell your produce through a number of different channels, because everyone there's one channel for selling to restaurants, another for selling to families, and so on.
Yeah.
So
yeah, our margins, our margins for vegetables are not very high. So if we can sell directly to the consumer, it's much better for us.
But you also, it's not only vegetables you also did some other things with it. I think you mentioned it, but I also remember it from the shop. You had some really nice looking things. How is that? What are you doing?
Yeah, I make lots of pickles and jams and whatever I can. If I have, whatever I have time to do, I do that, and that really helps in the winter, and it helps just give variety in the store. Try to do some unusual things, just so when people come in, it's like, oh, what's that? Oh, I never had that before, and just to get people interested.
Yeah, I remember there was. I've seen quite a lot, but there was many things I never seen in your store. Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Yeah, I like to grow. I used to be a chef, so I like to grow if I can, I like to grow a little more unusual things, or maybe things that are normal to me, but people in Sweden haven't seen. So just to keep things interesting,
And what would that be, for example?
Well, yeah, not even that strange, but like last year we sold a lot of vita smultron silt, for example.
Yeah.
Not, but this year I didn't actually have time to pick them.
Yeah.
The white smultrons. So
the white smultrons are the best, because the birds don't realize they are berries, so they get to sit on have time to pick them.
They're very sweet, but I have a lot of them, but I didn't have time to make the jam this year. But that was something that was very popular last year. Like, oh, I never.
Also, I know people who's allergic to strawberries can eat the white ones.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But you also have a rutabaga as your logo.
Yeah. Just that is just this idea which I got from the Kooperativ Academy. Which has this concept that that rutabaga can be seen as a Swedish vegetable compared to other vegetables, and just to try to promote Swedish cultural food heritage, which is something I am really interested in, and I would like to get more into that. Something, in the United States, I'm really always been interested in those heirloom vegetables that we have going back a few hundreds of years, and in Sweden, I think it's a really beautiful thing to promote what is special about the food here in Sweden. I think I see a lot of, just as a foreigner, I see a lot of Swedish people valuing like Italian food, let's say, over Swedish food, when Swedish food has amazing ingredients. And I've tried to grow lots of different rutabaga. I haven't found the best tasting one yet, but
there are quite a few. I took part in one of the Gourds Academy, their tastings of rutabaga tastings. So I tried a few varieties. They're quite different, actually.
Yeah. I would love to join one of those tastings, because I grew 4 varieties last year, and they were all tasted pretty much the same. So I don't know if it's soil or. But yeah, that's one of the things I would really love to do, is just work on finding heirloom varieties of things and highlighting what is special about Swedish food, and let's celebrate what we have here. I mean, of course, we all love Italian food. I mean, I love Mexican food, but it's like, let's also be appreciative of what we have and what we have in the seasons here, which I know that Swedish people have that maybe for more. They do have it, but maybe not as much for vegetables. Maybe
there's room for more.
There's room for more.
Yeah.
Like
And when we think about regeneration, regeneration has to do with so much more than regeneration of soil quality and carbon storage and so on. It has also to do with to regenerate and recreate our destroyed communities and recreate the
Relations.
our relationship to food and to each other and to the meal and to our local traditions.
Yeah.
So that's really nice to hear you have that focus. And also you mentioned celebrate our traditions, and there's certainly room for more celebration in the Swedish food culture, don't you think?
Definitely. And hopefully those are the easiest vegetables to grow, we hope.
Mm.
I mean, they should be easier to grow than eggplant or...
Yeah.
I mean, we want to grow as many different vegetables as possible, but I think highlighting some Swedish traditions, like we will be planting a lot of fruit trees. We're in one of our fields, and we're planting the first batch we're going to get in the beginning of September or beginning of October, and we're getting some of these old Swedish apple varieties that maybe don't have as much yield, low yield, but they're on the Swedish Arc of Taste, the Slow Foods Arc of Taste, and things like that. So it's cool to have some of those things. Maybe not all your apples are those, because they do have very low yields, but to mix them into what you're growing. So
yeah.
And do you let the local community become a sort of an active part in what you do, or are they mostly customers?
Yeah, I would say mostly customers, but some people, I mean, I would definitely say our neighbors are very supportive, and a lot of our regular customers live in our town, and our immediate neighbors were like they're really happy that we started the farm shop, and they come regularly, but contributing not as much. A lot of the people around us don't actually farm anymore. In our little town, there's only like few families actually farming still. Most people just have horses or just have the house. So we are looking for more members. We would like more people to join us, and our goal is to have as many different products as possible, but we don't want to buy in products. We don't want to buy from other just random people.
But do you have in mind, like do you see what would be the ideal number of participants in your cooperative? Or
no, we don't really have an ideal number, but yeah, we are definitely looking, like we could use more meat if if there was a pork producer. We could use a lot of people ask us for milk. A lot of customers ask us about milk. And yeah, mushrooms would be really good. Yeah, so we want to also act as a kind of an incubator. Like, so if someone had starting a small farm in the area, for them to start a Gourds Boutique or whatever their selling methods would be, they would be able to join our farming cooperative, and then they would get access to our customer base and our shop.
We have been discussing quite a lot, like a network of buyers clubs, the force they could become when they sort of pool their demand. If they pool their demand for a certain product, that they could reach out to someone wanting to start up and saying, like, we have these 3 food buyers clubs, and we know for certain that we have people are asking us, or maybe people are buying from us X amount of kilos of mushrooms every week, which we import or buy from somewhere else. So if you start up as a small producer growing mushrooms, we can more or less guarantee you that we will buy everything you produce and sell it for you. And it sounds like you are thinking in similar terms when it comes to, like you said, being an incubator or just providing a space for lowering the threshold for new people to start, basically. So that they know if I start, that there is somewhere where I can sell my produce.
Yeah, that's a.
And I think also not only like the actual product, but also like you have some people to talk to who's done this before, or you know, that kind of the social part of it. I think that's really important. So it's been, I don't know if it's a fact, but I've heard it for some other people a few times regarding community supported agriculture, andelsjordbruk, that almost all of them have had the ones that has been only one farm doing this have lasted for a year or two, or I don't know, maybe more than 2 years, but lasted for a short while, because that was too much job, too much work on one farm to do. So the one that has lasted has been when you cooperate, when you are a few farms that do this CSA together. And I don't think it's only because you can share the products, but I think it's also that you can share some of the burdens, or you can have someone to talk to or ask for help, or those aspects. And in, I don't know if it's general so in Sweden, but it's like sometimes it will be difficult to ask for help because you're so much into, you want this to succeed, you want your farm to do, to work, whatever. And maybe around you have these huge farms only with this multi-million equipment, and that's not really the same language maybe that you're with your kålrötter wants, I don't know. So I think that's also part of it, actually, to be a part of it, a social environment.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons, you know, people want to move to a small town or live in a rural communities, is for the sense of community. And if you're just out there farming by yourself, you don't have any, you're not going to the office every day like other people with coworkers. So it can be kind of lonely, and it is nice to know that you have people that if you really need help, you have someone who's going to help you or give you advice or.
Going further, or Christopher, did you have any?
No, I just I want to ask, maybe this is not the right time, Marcus, you decide if you want to take it another direction about boring stuff like profitability and if you lowering of your stress and how everything works out, working together, if it actually provides these more like on the ground benefits for your businesses, actually.
Yeah. I was going to ask about difficulties or problems. So yeah, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, setting up the business, that was a lot of work. We had a lot of meetings, and at times I was thinking, oh my goodness, like, was this a good decision? Because it was harder than I thought. We had to think about a lot of different things, which I hadn't thought through. And you know, a lot of technical stuff, and you know, there was a lot of what ifs and what should we do if this happens, what should we do if this happens. And so there was a lot of long meetings, and that was before we opened the store. But once the store got going, then we haven't had so many long meetings anymore, and there haven't really been any big issues. And is terms of profitability, our shop actually doesn't make any profit. So we just we ring up everything. We use an iSettle, which is expensive, but it really helps with the accounting. It makes things so much easier. So we see how much we make every month, each producer, and then we send a bill to the cooperative, and then they pay us. So the cooperative makes zero money. When we pay a membership fee, which covers like the iSettle and any equipment that we share, which is limited, but there's a few things like we're gonna buy a new freezer together. Just a few things that we buy, but we try to keep all the costs for the store very low. Like we try to do everything in a very cheap way if we can. Like the shop is very rustic.
It looked really designed, I would say.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
But we try to do everything. If we can do it in a cheap way, we try to do it in a cheap way. So we didn't take out any loans to do this. In the future, we have a lot of future plans which could involve taking out loans, but we're not there yet. So, but yeah, so it was a lot of work to deal with 4 different people who are used to doing things independently, I would say. And then you have, and I mean, I hadn't even really started my farm yet, but I thought it was good for me. It was really good for me because I'm the kind of person that makes decisions right away. And it's like, I decide, I know what I'm going to do. And some of the other people in our group are more of those think through every situation before making a decision. So I think that was really good for me because it's like, wow, I actually never thought of any of those things. So that's another, we each bring our different strengths and perspectives. But yeah, for me, I mean, it was really helpful to be part of this group of 3 producers who had experience. They had their businesses for a few years, so they kind of knew the customers better than me as a newcomer to Sweden. I don't always, what I assume about customers is not always, what is the truth. And we went through a lot of technical things, like what happens if someone wants to leave the cooperative and what happens if someone wants to join it. And
Have you put down those procedures in text?
Yeah, we have a stadgar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We did all that. And there's a I don't know what you call it. There's a company in Holland called Companion Holland. Yeah. And they do free consulting. So we worked with Lena from Companion Holland, and she helped us a lot. So she guided us through the process, and she said, this is what you should talk about, and these are some things that maybe you didn't think about. So she really helped us with that.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
It's nice to hear. Companion is one of the it's one part of this project, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Very cool.
Companion in Sörmland then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, you need outside help. You don't know. It's hard to know everything you're supposed to do. I mean, if you've never done this before. So.
Yeah. But have you got in contact with other groups that works in a similar way in Sweden? Do you know any?
No, we don't. So far,
Okay.
I don't know any.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one group in Nyköping that is called Bondens Nära. And there are a few farmers. They have like a shared space in a cafe, I think it is, like a corner of the cafe or restaurant, and they man that corner like 1 or 2 days a week on a rotating schedule. I think there are like 7 producers,
all right.
a few more. I don't know if they have an actual cooperative or an economisk förening, or if they are just cooperating about that shared space.
Yeah, I saw in Sörmland, I saw a new project of some farms getting together. I forget what they called it, Room or something.
Okay.
RHEUM.
Yeah, Roim. Yeah, they have been around for quite a few years, actually.
Oh, they have. Okay.
Yeah.
But that looked like they were going to Stockholm together or something like that. Were they?
Yeah, I think they're pooling their produce together and selling to wholesalers mostly, and they have been selling directly to customers, like a vegetable box.
Yeah.
Like a weekly box.
That's a very good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also heard about especially meat farmers that also do these kind of things. But it seems like you're doing it's going further. We're having a shop that you actually are working in yourself. I mean, that's another step. So I think we should have some other questions from the others who's been here. Hannes has apparently had to leave, but he has some questions written in the chat here. And Camilla, perhaps, if you have any questions, would be glad to hear. Hello.
Hello. I just think this was really interesting since we are a couple of farms here where I live, have tried to do the same, and we haven't heard of anyone else with the same ideas. And but unfortunately, we planned a lot, and we put in an application for some project money to start this cooperation. But they were quite negative to our ideas, and they had a lot of questions like, but how will you solve this with the payment? And they really focused on all the problems and all the details and what could go wrong and so. And after that, we kind of lost some inspiration. And we have had a lot of other things and jobs to do, but still we think of maybe we could do something like this.
So you have put your project on hold for now.
Yeah, and for me it's been like I've been kind of doing this myself. So I've been growing some vegetables and eggs, and I go to Rekoringar each week, and I sell everything I have. And I think I can. The interest is really so big here in our area now, and I've also been planning to. I have cows, so I milk them, and I want to sell the milk, but I can only do this from the farm because I haven't godkänt mejeri.
Yeah.
Approved. Yeah.
It's not approved yet. So I kind of thinking it's not so sustainable that I do it myself, everything. But
and when you were applying for this sort of external financing, what were you? What kind of costs did you need to cover?
We wanted to have a project leader, so that was the big cost. So I think it was around 1 million Swedish crowns, 500,000, something like that. But we also planned to go on a lot of courses and study visits and so on to get some inspiration and education. And we were planning to have like a matkasse, not a store in the beginning, maybe later, but our plan was to have milk and cheese and yogurt, vegetables, eggs, meat, and so that we would deliver to people in the area. So I don't know if we have any questions. I just think it was really inspiring to hear about your experiences.
This talk could give you some new energy.
And but I don't really know where to start over again. But do we have any?
Do a visit.
Yes. So maybe some advice if you have.
Well, I guess we have a lot of big goals. Like I have a lot of big things I would like to do, but when we started, we tried to start as simple as possible, like spending as little money as possible, kind of feeling like if we failed, it wouldn't be that bad. So I guess we would like to, like I said, our Gourds Boutique, we just renovated a room in our barn. So it was just, I mean, it was work, but it wasn't, such a big project. In the future, we'd like to apply for the money and take out a loan to do something a little more elaborate. Like I would really like to do like a wood pizza kind of place with an ice cream, which I need a commercial kitchen. I need to build a seating area. It would be very expensive, but we just wanted to start with this very simple thing, which spending as little money as possible, see if we can work with the other people. And then, like I said, if it all falls apart, then we didn't take as much risk. So maybe my advice to you is maybe can you start something first and see if you can even work with those people, because it is really hard to work with other people. But then maybe you could try to get the money and make it more elaborate. I don't know if that's possible, but
so you didn't have any project money? No. I think that was the problem, that we aimed for so much and we had such great visions, and we wanted to have people from the small towns nearby to come to us, and we would have courses and everything and sell vegetables. And now I realize that maybe it's better to just grow some vegetables and you sell them, and then you can take the next step and you could cooperate with others. And so let it grow slow.
Yeah,
maybe.
Exactly. Let it grow step by step.
And like Molly described, try to fail as quickly as possible if you're supposed to fail. In the startup world, they call it the MVP, the minimum viable product. You should, if you have a hypothesis, like this is what we would like to do, then how can we spend as little money and as little time to get to a position where we can try if this hypothesis holds. If we want to see if people would like to buy vegetables from us, how can we do that as simple as possible, as fast as possible? Because it's much better to fail soon and not having spent that much money and then creating a huge project and not really getting started at all.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and another advice I would have is, like you said, like as farmers, you're all really busy and you have very little free time. And I know for me, like when we were doing all these meetings last year before the store opened, I did question it many times. I was thinking, this is taking so much more work than I thought it would be. And I almost thought, is it worth it? Is it worth it? But in the end, it was definitely worth it, and it's helped us so much. So I mean, I don't know about your situation, but sometimes, you do have to like give up more than maybe you think you should in your time. It is really hard in the beginning, I think. Yeah,
to take those first steps of getting to know each other and Should we take up one of Hannes' questions?
Yeah, I think so. Which one? Yeah, we can take that. What values does your customers value? if you have an idea about that. Would say why do they choose you? Why do you go for this 20 kilometers to your place?
Well, we have different customers. I mean, we have our core customers that come every week, and I think a lot of them come for the personal connection. But also we have like the people who who come for, because you can't find those products other places. Like, for example, the cheese, like to have Kraft cheese that's locally produced around us, there's maybe in a half an hour there is another place. But yeah, so we do sell things that you can't get other places, but that is part of it. And then I think the other part is really the personal connection, knowing where your food came from, and as a social thing, you know.
Yeah, but that leads me to another thing that sooner or later often comes up in these talks, and that's about certification. I mean, do any of your farms have organic certification or so?
Yeah, we are all Kraft. Yeah.
Okay, all of you. Yeah. Because for some that is a cost that could be too big in the beginning, and so they more rely on trust and this. Yeah. But if you sell to shops or restaurants, I mean, then perhaps you need a certification, of course.
Yeah, for us personally, we were kind of on the fence about it, but the other people in our cooperative had Krav and they wanted us to get it too, so that's why we decided. But if it was just us, yeah, I don't know if we necessarily would have done it. Yeah, but I think it helps on.
And there is no. There is no regenerative certification.
No, there isn't. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, there isn't there? Wasn't there?
But in Sweden, I've never seen.
No, not in Sweden, but it.
No. Yeah.
Can I question something?
Yeah.
About your regenerative agriculture. Well, do you communicate this to the customers? Because that was also our plan, but we had a lot of discussions. How will we frame this? It's so complex to describe, I think.
Yeah, well, we have like a pamphlet in the store that describes like in detail about what we do in our agricultural practices. So we kind of hand that to someone if they're interested. But yeah, I don't know if every customer knows about that. Some people are interested, some people are not. But we do want to work on that in the store to like write a description of each farm and how we produce our food, and then have that framed in the store so that some people just like, some people maybe are just waiting for their partner or whatever, and they're just looking to read something. So we haven't done that yet. But yeah, some people really ask questions. Like some people are really, they want to know the details, and I would say probably 75% of the people are happy to know that you're organic. So for those people who are really interested, then we give them this pamphlet. But about the eggs, a lot of people are very interested in the eggs, and we have our hens in an egg mobile in the field next to the shop, so they can see that. But a lot of people want to know the details about the eggs, I noticed, but the vegetables, not really.
Yeah, it hasn't really, well, it's last 2 years, it's been mentioned much more than ever before, I think, also in Sweden, like with regenerative agriculture and so on. But still, it's a very new concept, I would say. So there's some work to be done. But it's great that you actually say that you work this way, or and that you do. Yeah. Some other questions. Hannes says also about how do you imagine the future of Slättåkra? But you said something about that, and maybe to be able to cook in the place. I mean, since you said you were a chef, so that will be like a natural step to do things. Yeah, with
that
your
would be
products.
it would be my dream, but that's a few years off because we're not really ready to do that yet. Yeah, that would be, yeah, like a farm to table place where you have pizza like 1 or 2 nights a week. And I know some farms in Sweden already do this, where you just make like seasonal pizzas and salad, and then you sit in the farm and you eat it. I think it's really cool to just say, oh, this food I'm eating like came from this farm.
Yeah, yeah.
And Swedes do love pizza.
Yeah.
Indeed.
It's hard to make a bad pizza, right?
Maybe it's time to start rounding this thing off. I just wanted to bring back. I think you touched a little bit on the question I had about about profitability and stress and so on. First, would you recommend farmers to do this journey that you have done?
For me personally, yes. I mean, it worked for me, but yeah, I think I would recommend it. I think there's more, if we want to compete against the big food systems, we need to build our own small local food systems, and it's hard to just be out there alone. I think it's really hard to be just one tiny small farmer. Yes, I would recommend it.
And have this cooperative led to you lowering your stress levels and actually having better profitability in your farm?
Yes, I think so, definitely. Because like, for example, with vegetables, since we're 2 growing vegetables, I don't grow every single vegetable. You know, especially if you have a farm shop, you want to give as big variety as possible. And I'm not like very experienced grower. I don't have a lot of farming experience. So for me to grow like 50 different vegetables, it's hard. So I focus on, I don't know how many vegetables I'm growing, but I focus on some of the vegetables, and then Jesper and Köksgård, he grows different vegetables, and some vegetables we both grow, like carrots or some, you know, things that you always need, like onions. But we're able to also divide the vegetables, which makes it much easier, I think. Then you can really focus on what you're doing.
I'm also curious about, since we now want to this talk with you, have you had these questions before? Have people contacted you about what you're doing, how you have done it, or
not really, but we are still new. I mean, we only started last year, so in May. So no, not many people have contacted us. No.
Oh. Perhaps now.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Perhaps now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless we have any more questions, I think I will thank everyone and pause the recording now, at least. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening to this Förenade Inköp webinar. See you next time.
Yes.